the 2010 to 2023 second generation Lexus GX 460. This is also known as the J150, and this body on frame Lexus SUV comes with a 4.6 liter naturally aspirated V8 engine with 301 horsepower and 329 pounds-feet of torque, mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. And this is going to be a full buyer's guide video of the second gen Lexus GX. In this introduction, I'm going to compare this briefly with the LX because many people ask if the LX is worth the upgrade from this generation of GX. I'm also going to talk about potential issues, the current used and new market, and what kind of deals you can expect to get, and then we are going to conclude. Okay, starting with the first topic, GX versus LX. Is the LX a better vehicle than the GX? In my honest opinion, yes it is. The LX is noticeably better to drive than a GX. It truly feels like a six-figure product when it's rolling down the road, as its original MSRP would suggest. In fact, if you have driven or experienced the 2013 to 2017 LS 460, that is exactly what the LX 570 drives like, except on stilts. It exudes that buttery cream nature in its suspension, in its steering feel, etc. But that's not to say that the GX is a bad vehicle. I still like the GX 460. However, to answer most people's question, if the LX is better, yes it is, but it's just not worth the price. A new one is going to be the LX 600, and that's going to be well over six figures with pretty much no discounts available. And an LX 570, it's clearly a used vehicle purchase, and it's going to have miles. It's going to be an older vehicle, and for the same price as a used LX 570, you can get a brand new GX 460, which actually has a lot of discounts and incentives available, which I will talk about later on. So for me, because the GX is still a great driving machine, that is absolutely my choice. And you can pick up a brand new one at really good discounts. You can get the premium model for 65 grand, and there's over 12% off MSRP discounts available and like 2 grand in leasing incentives. And I'll talk more about that in another segment. But for right now, let's go ahead and let's transition over into the potential issues that these SUVs can have. Okay, before we talk about the issues, I think it'll make more sense to you if we first cover the various model years. All right, so we know that in the United States, the second generation GX 460 came out in 2010. In 2014, they redesigned the GX to have the spindle grille, and you're going to see footage of a spindle grille GX 460 on the screen here. So I will go ahead and I will use the 2014 GX 460 as a baseline on what we can use to measure reliability. And there's a couple of different ways we can address this, because I have some resources I like to use, such as nhtsa.gov. It's a government website which documents and organizes all of the complaints, recalls, investigations, and manufacturer communications, also known as TSBs or Technical Service Bulletins. This is where the manufacturer themselves find issues or common issues with their own products. So you absolutely don't need to throw any stones at me. I didn't do anything. I didn't make any of this up. The manufacturer themselves, Lexus themselves, found all of these issues with their own vehicle. So that's one great resource. Then you have the Club Lexus forum, where people share their ownership stories. I also like to use carcomplaints.com. It essentially takes the same info from NHTSA and it compiles it in a more easier to understand and digestible format, especially for the TSBs. It's a lot easier for you to do Control F on carcomplaints.com and find various TSBs that concern you most. And at first glance, you're going to see 253 manufacturer communications. The GX doesn't actually have 253 issues. There's a lot of redundancy here and some frivolous things thrown in here as well. For the most part, the GX is a very solid machine, like you would expect. It really is one of the most reliable luxury SUVs that a person can buy. However, there are some key things to note. And I'm obviously not going to cover everything here. I'm mainly just going to show you the resources so you can use them in your own time, because if I went through everything, we would be here all day. Okay, the complaint section is definitely worth looking into on the NHTSA website. This is where people actually write in with their issues. And we see a timing chain cover leak issue with a 2014 GX with 76,000 miles. Apparently it's a common failure. We also have low pressure fuel pump issues. That seems to be a problem with a lot of Lexus vehicles, and eventually that was recalled, and a Lexus dealership should fix your fuel pump for free since it was a official recall. But we have people writing in about brake failures, suspension issues, the vehicle leaning on one side. And suspension is very important to note here because the GX comes standard with something known as KDSS, or Kinetic Dynamic Suspension System. This is a hydraulically controlled sway bar disconnect system that's supposed to offer excellent body control out on the road, but when you off-road, you're supposed to get better articulation, and that's what the KDSS system is supposed to do. And honestly, I do like the KDSS system. It does make a difference. For instance, the Toyota 4Runner, another SUV we get in the United States, you have the ability of getting it with and without KDSS. The models that utilize the system, it truly does handle a little bit better. In fact, forget these second gen GX 460s. We can go all the way back to the first generation GX 470. I drove that SUV and I was impressed with the way that first gen handled. I took it on some highway roundabouts and the thing was genuinely sticking to the road really well. So I like their suspension system. However, it does cause the vehicle to lean on one side about an inch. And also a lot of people have reported the steering not being level. Even on a brand new 2023 GX 460, someone reported on the Club Lexus forum that their steering was pulling to the right when they were driving down the road. So as great as KDSS might be, it is causing some owners issues, and the system is standard on the GX. Lexus did issue out a TSB for the vehicle leaning on one side, and the recommended fix is updating the front left coil spring to have the GX 460 sit evenly. However, this only applies to vehicles that are still under warranty. And that brings me to another resource. You can just Google Lexus GX 460 problems and a really nice article pops up from Engine Patrol, which I will also have linked in the description box. It's written by Ian Jarvis, and this article does a phenomenal job of organizing together all of the main issues that the GX runs into. And a lot of it has to do with the suspension. Even though this vehicle isn't super problematic, when you have an issue where the vehicle's leaning on one side and it's pulling to one side when you're driving it down the road, that's just not a premium experience. In fact, one owner just gave up on the issue. They had the vehicle in multiple times at the dealership and they just simply could not fix the leaning or the pulling to one side. Does that mean that the vehicle is unreliable? No, you can still drive the vehicle like that, but it's just not right. And you can spend a lot of money if you're out of warranty screwing with the suspension. And that's why, especially in the used market, these vehicles aren't necessarily a blessing to the wrong people. Okay, if you're reaching and you have a very low budget, like under 20 grand, and you're gonna buy one of these vehicles with over 200,000 miles on it, I really don't think that's a wise move, because we're not done talking about the issues. There are other things to note here, like secondary air injection problems that can cost upwards of $2,500. If you're shopping for one of the luxury models, it can come with air suspension in the rear, which is called AHC, adjustable height control. And overall, compared to other air suspension systems, Lexus does offer a more quality and more durable air ride system. However, over time, it can obviously fail and it can cause a bouncy or harsh ride, the suspension can bottom out, or the auto leveling feature simply won't work. And it can cost over $4,000 to replace all of the suspension components with the rear air ride, the compressor, the 2 rear shocks, and the various lines that you need. However, you can also get something called the Strutmaster kit, and I've experienced the suspension kit before, and it actually does a really great job in mimicking the OEM ride quality. So Strutmasters is certainly something to consider if you need to replace the air suspension on just about any vehicle, actually. And of course, we have the dreaded valley plate coolant leak, which can start anywhere between 70 to 100,000 miles. This is a dangerous issue because, first of all, it costs a lot of money, but also a lot of V8 powered Lexus and Toyota models are affected. And it's really hard to detect because it's a slow coolant leak. So most people don't even realize that they have this issue until it's too late. And the coolant just starts to leak and accumulate in the valley plate in the middle of the engine, and that's just below the intake manifold. And fixing this can cost between $1,000 to $2,000. We have the timing chain cover oil leak, which was a complaint on the NHTSA website, and this is a common issue on the GX460 and can once again cost between $1,000 to $2,000. Then we have the oil in the spark plug, various steering wheel vibrations, and of course this is a big heavy SUV, weighs between 5,200 to 5,400 pounds. You can expect vibrations, brakes wearing out faster, suspension components like the shocks and the bushings wearing out, and this can genuinely add up and cost a lot of money. And you also have a transfer case leak, and probably not as common, but some people have experienced this, transmission issues where the vehicle won't shift into a higher gear. I mean, it might be quote unquote reliable, but it's still a big, complex luxury vehicle, and it does have a lot of moving parts, a lot of components. It might be quality, but there is definitely opportunity for things to go wrong here. And as we can see, things have gone wrong for a lot of people. And this website here, enginepatrol.com, they wrote a great article documenting a lot of these issues, which can cost potentially thousands of dollars in repairs. And for the wrong people, they're just not going to be ready for that because they're going to watch Scotty Kilmer videos. They're going to see people in the comment section saying, oh, they've had their Lexus for 800,000 miles without any issues, and it's running on the same oil and the same tires. And the wrong people simply do not need to hear that because they get excited. They go on the used market. They see that they can pick up 2010 GXs with 200,000 miles on it for $12,000. And that's exciting to them because this is a big, stylish SUV. It looks baller even till this day. But I'm sorry, my friends, as you can see, after I shared all of these resources, there are issues. It can add up. And we haven't even talked about practical things like tire replacements, your maintenance, your oil changes, the fuel economy. You know, this thing is rated to get 15 in the city, 20 on the highway. Lexus says on their press media spec sheet that you should use premium fuel. Obviously, nobody does that. Again, don't get mad at me. That's just what Lexus says on their own press media site. They say that the minimum fuel requirement is 91 octane. Then you have your insurance, and when you tack on these various potential repairs, and you're outside of the warranty period, that can get ugly very quickly if you're not ready for all of this. So what can you do to combat this? You can purchase a warranty. You can purchase the vehicle certified pre-owned, so it comes with a warranty just naturally, or you can just purchase a new vehicle or lease a new vehicle. So next, let's talk about the GX market, pricing, warranties, etc. Okay, I'm on Car Gurus right now, and I'm doing a nationwide search on the 2010 to 2023 used GX460s. I filtered out all of the accident and salvage title vehicles because you ideally want to avoid that, since accident vehicles, you never know how the body shop put those cars back together. It's never going to be up to that OEM spec. Plus, it's going to hurt your resale value down the road when you go to sell it. All of that filtered out, we have a little over 2,200 available GX460s that are somewhat clean. However, many people will be excited by the 12 to $15,000 GX 460s available for sale with 200,000 miles on it. And a lot of people are going to end up purchasing those cars because they say that it's a Lexus, it's going to last for 1,000,000 miles, and they will completely disregard everything I said in the previous section about all of the issues that can potentially go wrong. And I say potentially because you will always have those people that say they've had 700,000 miles on their car with no issues. Once again, that's good for those people. However, that's not a guarantee for you. Not to mention, with used cars, one person's 10,000 miles can be another person's 100,000 miles, meaning we have no idea how some of these previous owners used these vehicles. That's another big question mark when it comes to used cars. So, okay, fine. Forget the cheap models. We can then move on to the certified pre-owned GX 460s, and we have about 500 available for sale. However, be very careful about other dealerships that are non-Lexus branded selling vehicles as certified. You'll see a bunch of Mitsubishi dealerships, for whatever reason, selling cars as quote-unquote certified pre-owned, even though they technically can't do that. Only a Lexus dealership can sell a certified pre-owned vehicle, so just be careful about that. And many of the CPO cars are going for around $35,000 to $40,000. Those are for 2017 model years and up with over 50,000 miles on it. And not to mention, a lot of these GXs are like base model vehicles. They have the little small wheels on it. The original MSRPs of these vehicles were not very high to begin with. So these used CPO GXs aren't that great of a value, especially with like 40 to 60,000 miles. Sure, it's covered under warranty, but still, these are like 6 to 7 year old cars with, once again, a lot of miles. And you could go the other way. You could just sort by non-CPO cars with low mileage, like under 20K miles, but that's also about 40 grand. And for the most part, these vehicles will not come with any form of warranty. If you're interested in a aftermarket warranty, one of the ones that I personally purchased in the past that actually worked out really well for me is the Hendrick Auto Guard warranty, the Platinum. So that's something you can look into. I'm assuming a warranty on a vehicle like this would cost about 4 or 5 grand for about 4 years. But if you're going to buy a warranty, make sure it's prorated, meaning you can cancel the warranty and get a portion of that unused warranty money back as a refund. And make sure it's one of the platinum type of warranties where it covers everything like the electronics, the suspension components, the HVAC, etc. And obviously the drivetrain. But I did say that with a new GX 2023, okay, before they move on to the fully redesigned model, you can still snag the 4.6 liter 2023 GX 460 at 12% off MSRP with an additional $2,000 leasing rebate. How can you do that? Well, I partnered with a automotive broker named AutoCompanion. He's located in the Washington, D.C. area, and he's partnered with pretty much the largest Lexus dealerships in that area, and he's offering GX 460s, both the premium and the luxury, which go for around 65 to 70 grand at 12% off, and if you lease the vehicle, it's an additional $2,000. I'm filming this video in November of 2023. Leasing rates can change every month, so if you're watching this in the future, this won't apply because this is pretty much your last opportunity to get a V8 powered brand new GX. But leasing is the way to go. Then you can buy the vehicle out at the end of the lease if you happen to like it, because as we can see in the reliability section, people have had issues with 2023 GXs with the suspension leaning and with the steering going towards the right. That's something that people have experienced with new GXs. So what you can do is you can lease the vehicle, make sure it's completely reliable for 3 years, and if it is and you like it, you can just purchase the vehicle at the end of the lease. Because if you finance a vehicle, majority of your payments that you make for the first few years, it's just going towards the interest and you're making very little equity in the vehicle. Whereas with the lease, if you do like a one pay and you get a super low interest rate on the lease, a majority of your payments where your one pay will go towards the equity of the vehicle. That's something else to keep in mind. And that's the other thing, and that's the beauty of buying a new vehicle You have flexible financing offers, whereas with used vehicles, some banks aren't even lending on vehicles 2016 or older. It's crazy. And if they do lend, you can expect interest rates to be upwards of 10%. But we did technically see some $35,000 used certified pre-owned GX460s under Lexus warranty that is genuinely cheaper than even a 2023 brand new GX with the discounts. That's still going to run you around 53, 55 grand with taxes. So you can technically save 20 grand on a CPO GX, but is it worth it? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, because that CPO GX, it's like 8 years old with 50,000 miles on it. And we also have to be concerned about rust when we're talking about used vehicles. So is it worth the rigmarole of dealing with the used car market to save that 20 G's? I'm not gonna lie, that is a lot of money, but a 2023 is gonna come with more standard features. It's gonna look better in my opinion. It's got 0 miles on it, and you can also lease it as well. So you can test out the vehicle, make sure it's reliable. I don't know, there's just a lot of benefits going with new, but I won't deny that there is a big savings with used. AutoCompanion is the only one I'm partnered with, and if you sign up with my affiliate link in the description box, then you can get some money off of the broker fee that he charges. Okay, as I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of the GX. I like the way it drives. I like the way it looks. I like the interior. I think it's plush, ergonomic, and really, driving-wise, these vehicles do not get enough credit, especially from the mainstream journalists. They just call these things big, dumb Toyotas, and that's just a complete lie. These things do feel special. They feel charismatic, and they feel unique to drive and to sit in. I love these products, and just about everyone who's owned one loves it, but once again, I just want to make sure that the consumers are protected. Once again, I'm on the side of the consumer. I'm just looking out for you because I love my audience. I love the people watching me. I want to make sure that you don't get burned in the used car market with crazy repairs. I want to be honest, and I want to show you everything that can potentially go wrong so you can make an educated decision on whether you need to buy a warranty, whether you have to go certified pre-owned, or should you just buy new or look into alternatives like a new 4Runner, for instance. And most of all, I want to arm you, the consumer, with useful resources like the Lease Hacker Forum, with AutoCompanion's free leasing calculator, etc. So once again, you can do further research. You can use NHTSA to find issues with cars. And I'm of course going to link in the description box that really good article written by Engine Patrol that detailed all of the issues. You can of course use the Club Lexus forum. And I'll just leave you with one last thing. If you want to see the individual model year changes that happened between 2010 to 2023, you can go to websites like Edmunds.com, and they do a good job of showing you what's new for every individual model year if you're interested in that. But with all of that established, hopefully you found value with this content. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, because this is stuff that just about nobody bothers to share regarding new and used vehicles, like saving money, using resources, etc. I just don't see very many journalists sharing this stuff, probably because they're not really aware of these things either. But I love each and every one of you, and I want to make sure you're armed with the best information possible. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and goodbye.